We are honored to have with us His Excellency, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. António Guterres. I invite Mr. Guterres to deliver his remarks.
Excellences, chers et chers amis.
Excellencies, dear friends, let me first express my thanks to the government of Morocco and the people of Morocco for their hospitality. Morocco has always been a seat of fight against extremism, and therefore you are an essential and seat of this forum. I'd like in particular to express my thanks to His Majesty Mohammed VI for his engagement, for his commitment to the dialogue, to the defense of dialogue, tolerance, and diversity as a richness to our societies and our world. I would like to thank the High Representative Mauritanius for his action at the head of the alliance, and I'd like to congratulate us for the choice of Fez as a seat for the meeting. From its history and secular history, Fez is the real place to meet and engage a reflection on the state of our world. Excellencies, we see all around us a world in crisis. The forces of discourse and hatred find a fertile field for injustice and conflicts. There's a more difference between the rich and the poor, between the north and the south, between developed and emerging economies. The tensions, social and economic, are growing, and the number of increasing conflicts in Ukraine are destroying lives and destroying economies. Destroying the cost of life is touching the most vulnerable people. The trust towards the political leaders and towards self are disappearing. This loss of trust also leads to a destruction of values, to the state of the law, and also discourse of hate and disinformation, and which target women in particular and vulnerable communities. Intolerance and irrationality are an old demon. Anti-Semitism, sectarism, anti-Islamic persecution of Christians, and xenophobia of racism is appearing again. The heinous and destructive are alimenting each other and lead to, while our climate is leading to irreversible destruction, which is a result of our inability to work together for the common good of all.
We know that to curb the climate crisis, we need to reach carbon neutrality by mid-century and urgently reduce emissions this decade. That is why at COP27, I proposed a Climate Solidarity Pact that combines the capacities of developed and emerging economies for the benefit of all. We know that to tackle global inequalities, we need to provide developing countries with the resources and support they need to invest in their future. That is why, at the G20 summit in Bali, I urged leaders to support an SDG stimulus for debt relief and restructuring for the Global South and investments across all the Sustainable Development Goals, from education and health care to eradicating poverty and realizing full equality for women and girls. We know that we need urgent action to prevent further instability and hunger from the Horn of Africa and the Sahel to Afghanistan to Haiti and beyond. That is why the Black Sea Grain Initiative and efforts to ensure Russian food and fertilizers can flow to global markets are so critical to stabilize markets and lower food prices. And we know that to halt the proliferation of conflicts, we need to strengthen prevention and build the foundation of lasting peace. Excellencies, the what is not the challenge, the how is. How to secure cooperation, how to raise ambition, how to marshal resources, how to mobilize political will, how to catalyze actions at all levels, from the global to the local, and how to act in solidarity. The alliance of civilizations is helping, showing the way. You embody the core values enshrined in the United Nations Charter to practice tolerance and live together in peace with one another as good neighbors. You are giving life to vital United Nations frameworks, from the call to action for human rights and the strategy on hate speech to the plan of action to safeguard religious sites. You are promoting more resilient and cohesive societies by putting a spotlight on youth, education, media and migration, and the vital role of women as peacemakers. You are working to build bridges and help people move from conflict to collaboration. I particularly welcome your efforts to place youth at the center in communities torn apart by conflict. I am thinking of people like Magdalene Amoni from Uganda, who lost a family member to the Lord's Resistance Army. Today, she is helping former child soldiers integrate into their communities in the face of severe human trauma and mistrust. I'm thinking of people like Elsa Marn da Silva from India, who co-founded a platform that crowdsources and maps sexual violence and harassment. Her efforts are mobilizing thousands of young people around the world to break the silence and end gender-based violence. And I'm thinking of the work of people like Imam Mohamed Ashafa and Pastor James Wui, who used to lead opposing militias in Nigeria. Today, they are united in friendship and partnership to diffuse religious conflict. It is in examples like these that fill me with hope for the future. I am also grateful to religious leaders across the world who are joining hands to promote dialogue and interfaith harmony. The Declaration Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together, co-authored by His Holiness Pope Francis and His Eminence the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ahmed El-Tayeb, is a model for compassion and human solidarity. We need this spirit more than ever. Together, we can build an alliance of peace that spans the global and the local to meet the tests of our time. If we recognize diversity as a richness, and if we invest in inclusion, and if we make sure that all of us, regardless of race, descent, origin, background, gender, religion, or other status, can live lives of dignity and opportunity. The Holy Quran teaches us that God created nations and tribes so that we might know one another. At this time of peril, let us take inspiration and stand together as one human family, rich in diversity, equal in dignity and rights, united in solidarity. Let's all do our part, and I thank all of you for your leadership and your commitment.